For the mountains, I've loaded my brush a little bit of cobalt blue. Let's put it on there about where the mountains are going to be, and put a little bit of white into it. So that's the colour we're going to use for the mountains. By putting it there, we can move it around to where we want it. Mount Chincogan is going to be in this area here. Even though from the river you can't see Mount Warning, I'll put it in there because it is a local landmark, and this is not a portrait or an architectural drawing, it's a painting. And with paintings, you make them up as you go along if you want to. Or if you want to paint a portrait of the area, you can do that too. These exercises will help you to learn to use your tools and to arrange things in the painting where you want them. You'll notice I put the blue on and then moved the white into the blue. This way I can adjust my tones, adding a bit more white here or there. And in this area there's a lot of mountains that are rather pointy. And as they come towards you, they go darker. And if I put a bit of crimson down here, so I'll keep a bit of blue there. So this is my little tiny palette here, ready to change the colours. Let's go to that mountain and come forward to another lot of mountains. It's a rather rugged area back there. Rub a bit of white in, a bit of crimson, a little bit of raw sienna, a little bit of cobalt blue. I'm putting them here. I don't usually do this, I usually mix them on the palette. I'm putting them here to show you what's going on. That's 2 crimson, a bit more cobalt blue, and we can adjust the tones. Well, I think the mountains would go, maybe that one would have a little bit more of the grey tone in it. Yes, looks a bit better. Run the white up into him. Doesn't matter what shape your mountains are, try not to make them all the same shape. And here this should form a purpley grey. It would be the mountain in front of that one, something like that. I did want a bit more white in there, so I'll put it in. Just be careful you don't form any shapes you don't want. So they look like they're coming towards us, from pale blue, a little bit darker, a little bit darker, a little bit darker. I'll just tidy this up here and let that be our background mountain, from pale blue, a little bit darker, a little bit darker, a little bit darker. And I'll put a blue mist in here. Very misty in that valley. And a lot of this we mightn't see because we're going to have a lot of trees. Now Mount Chincogan will go here somewhere. That looks like it's going to be the ridge at the back of the Mount Chincogan. I'll block it in just with a bit of blue. We don't have to copy the mountain exactly. There's 2 sisters at the back of the mountain like that. And we don't have to see all the mountain. That's cobalt blue I'm colouring that in with. It's not intentional. The mountain will be a different colour. Actually, the mountain will be a lot bigger than that. Let's have a look. I think we'll take the mountain right up like this. Yep. We can have this a good picture of Mount Chincogan there. And there's a right angle on top. We emphasise that. And we're changing the shape of the mountain. The mountain is more or less that shape. But as I said before, this isn't a portrait of the mountain. This is a painting. And we're creating a picture people will look at. There's no need to worry about whether your painting is exactly the same as the mountain. What we worry more about is that it's a nice painting. So that'll do for the shape of the top of the mountain. And I've gone straight into the cobalt blue there, which is very blue. So I'll come up into it with a bit of crimson and a little tiny bit of raw sienna in the crimson. And that should knock the blue back, give us a grey tone. You can mix your colours. In fact, I better go over to the palette, we'll mix some colours. I have plenty of cobalt blue, put it there. A little bit of crimson, not too much, a bit of crimson. And some raw sienna. And that'll form a grey. Now mix them together, and the bottom of the grey is rather reddy and the top is rather blue. So let's use that for the top of the mountain and this for the bottom of the mountain. Pick up plenty of my brush and I'll brush over the top of the mountain again. Well, that's a blue grey down here. We'll do this again here. That's become part of Mount Chincogan there. That's okay. And and the reddy grey comes in from the bottom. So it's lighter on top than the bottom, and block all the mountain in like that. As long as you have pleasant shapes here, what I call pleasant shapes is curves like that, not curves like this, just pleasant curves. And brush your undercoat in at the shape of the mountain. Brush them in for the shape of the mountain, down this side and down that side and across the bottom. That's the undercoat for the mountain. And I've picked up some blue and white here. Oh, it's gone red. If you're working in oils and you come to a point where you haven't got what you want, you can scrape it off and clean your knife, and then I scrub it in. For instance, here I want a blue tone rather than a red tone. So then I'll go back with a bit of blue and white on my brush, still getting a red tone, touch up with a bit of blue, they give me a blue tone. Put up here a little bit of viridian green, very little bit, and a little bit more of my sloppy white, and into that I'll put a bit of raw sienna. I'll put quite a lot of raw sienna in there, and then a little bit of blue. We're mixing the tone for the sunlight on top of the mountain. Now, it's a little bit light, so I'm going to put a lot more raw sienna in it. There, that's more like it. You see those tones there? Now, here comes the viridian green. Very strong colour. Sometimes this is just too much. I'll put it in the top there. In the top. We have to be careful not to go too green. Now that's almost the right colour. I think I need to put this in. There. That's the green grey for the top of the mountain. I'll come into a little tiny bit of grey, and that'll give us a more grey look, because that mountain's quite a way away, but it's so green around Mullumbimby. With my round hog bristle brush, I'll clean it first, and then put plenty of grey on it. So there's the grey. I'll put the grey on one side, and because it's saturated with paint, it's formed a chisel point, and that's what we want. So the grey's on one side. If you're working in oils, you might need to put the grey on. Your wet paint will be grey on the mountain anyway, and a little tiny bit of colour on the tip. See that little bit? Touch it on. I think that's a little bit too brown. I prefer it go greener. Go back again. Put a bit more green in it. That's more like it. Load the brush again, and I'll take that off there and dab, dab, dab on the little trees. Make sure you start right at the top of the mountain up high. That's it. And leave some darks, not all lights. That looks about right there. I'll load my brush again and go down the other side. So you can put these little dabs all over your mountain. Just like this everywhere. Try and follow the shape of the mountain. My brush is too dirty. Pick up the paint with the tip of the brush again. Now that's a bit better. Those little trees on top of the mountain. Dab, 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 dab. All the way down the mountain. You haven't got complete control over them. Some come off good, some of them don't come off so good. But them ones are okay. And have a paddock. Clean the brush like that. Straighten this lot up. You need to practice this brush stroke to get it right. And down the other side of the mountain. Ooh, nice shape here. We need a nice shape. That's it. Take it across here and up that hill and down there. You can dab it on. Now we have a few goes of this. We put them on first, and then we can block out the sunlight and have a bit of shadow. So just put them all on first, and there's a bit of shadow up here, so we'll block that one out. And any dark spots like that, block them out also. Now my brush is starting to shape right, that's better. So there's all the little trees on the mountain. If you look at the mountain, or you look at any mountain, you'll see this little tree thing. Very Australian gum tree. And the bluey tone. It's a greeny blue. This makes up our blue mountains. Of course you get different effects in different areas, but this is the Mullumbimby look. And right down over your mist. I had it a bit dark there, that looks a bit better. Put a bit more dark on my brush that time. And on the edge of the paddock. Bring it down into the mist. The mist will show through. You'll see it from a distance in a moment. That's a dark. Get rid of him. Knock him back a bit. And down the ridge. Well, when you mix your paint, make sure you mix enough because it's very hard to get the same colour again. And you won't get it exact. I never got it right yet. But you get it close to the colour. Now and then you get it right. Ooh, that went green, that bit. That's okay, it's coming towards us. And let's have a few paddocks here. I'll pick up a bit of colour, it's not quite so green. There we are. And a few trees. I think it'll be better with a bit of dark on my brush. Yeah. And on the other end of the mountain, touch it up. Oh, that's gone rather blue, that's okay. That one's a bit closer to us here. Dab, 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 dab. All little bits and pieces. So the mountain's looking a little bit mottly. Oh, there's a lot of dark on that one. So the mountain does look a bit mottly, so I picked up some pale, some white with a little bit of blue and a little bit of cobalt blue. And oh, that's a bit too much. I'll clean my brush a bit and give it a bit of a mist here and there where those colours join. And give it a bit of a mist look. Mist it out a little bit. And you can bring the mist up from the bottom you're painting here. Now this is going to be trees here, so we won't see much of this. And put a bit of mist in the bottom. It looks good, the mist, I like it. It always attracts the eye. And mist it out a bit. So put the mist on and then dab it until it disappears like that, see? It disappears a bit. So this is rather blurry. This mountain's quite a way away, so you don't see it very in great detail. That's a bit dark up there, so I'll knock that back a bit too. Mist here. Now you can paint any mountain you like using this method. Just dab, dab, dab the little trees on and then mist them out. You get it all looking the same. So that's the mountains.